happy Friday or Saturday if you are in Australia. But you guys, we're so excited to do this author talk short. It was planned to be a while ago, but you guys, my daughter, Russell, and all of them know my daughter had to go to the ER, and so we've been trying to reschedule it. So it's finally happening. But Evie is our lovely guest today for an author talk short, and you have all of us today, me, Russell, and Fern, to help kind of go about and get you talking about your story. So, Evie, you
Awesome.
were a part of the anthology Living True to You, Inspirational Stories of Self-Doubt, Self-Discovering, and Embracing Your Destiny. And you hit number one over in Australia, and you hit number one here in the US. So you are now an international best-selling author, which is
Woo-hoo.
amazing. And your anthology is currently still number one and trending in new releases. And so that's amazing because it came out on the 11th of October. So it's been weeks at number one. So congratulations. That is
Thank you.
amazing. But I'm going to kick it on over to Fern and we're going to get you talking about your story in this lovely anthology.
Yeah. So Evie, I really want to know because I mean, obviously, this is an anthology with multiple awesome stories. What what is yours about? And how did you connect to this anthology call?
Oh wow. I don't know whether it's divine intervention, fate, whatever you call it, but it seems to be the road that I've been traveling down since my trauma that I had with, or my mess that I got myself into with a scammer and divorce, and everything just seemed to implode. And what I looked at was more about, okay, so there's all these things happening. Why are these happening? I can't keep blaming everybody else for it. What can I do to improve me? If I didn't do that, I would have been just a mess on the floor. And so it was right in the middle of COVID. There was nobody around. It was only me in my apartment, trying to figure out how the hell I can improve myself and get out of this mess. And yeah, I guess that's got me onto more of the personal development, having a look at myself. Stuff started actually being introduced to me, like coaching, and so I did a few different kinds of recovery programs. I did a narcissistic recovery program, learned a lot out of that. I did Landmark Forum, which I got just the whole of me from that. And then I started signing up to do some coaching because I figured that what I was learning, I could be passing that on to others rather than wasting your time and your youth and trying to figure out why people are the way they are. Figure out who you are and, all the tools that you get from doing personal development. Catherine came along. She was doing her coaching as well, as how we met. I was signed up to do a coaching call, and I wasn't getting out of it what I needed. So I jumped ship and went to a different company to learn. So I was studying. I'm still studying a lot of the technical sides, the psychology, the all the tools that I can get, neuro linguistic programming, timelining, all of that sort of stuff. And I figured if I was going to be a coach, I'm going to engage in a coach. And then Catherine popped up. So she's been a great source for me, a great mentor and support through my journey of growth as well. So it's really helped. And then she asked me if I'd like to jump in, knowing that I've always wanted to write a book. So this was quite, yeah, it was quite interesting to do, just to do this anthology in a chapter. The reason for the chapter was because, yeah, it was that fry pan moment. It was trusting your instincts, that you are worthy, and it's, everyone has those feelings, and there's not a human being that doesn't suffer from self doubt or self worth or have some trauma in their life. And yeah, to know that there's
Yeah.
support out there is great. Yeah, so I'm hoping that my story will make a difference to somebody that needs it. Yeah,
So is this your first foray into being published? Is with this short story, or do you have other
absolutely.
works?
No, my
Ah,
first time. Yeah, yeah. But
okay.
my niece was so proud of me. She said she's telling all her friends, her aunties and author. But yeah, because I've always said to her since, I'm talking decades, that I was going to write a story because of the story I have of my life. I'm not alone. I'm sure there's plenty that have had shared similar stories, but that's only a snippet of what's happened in my life. So, but I guess what I'm wanting to show people is that at the end of the day, no matter what happens, it can always turn out bright. If you believe in yourself and have the right support, you can turn it around, no matter how dark it seems at the time. Yeah.
So is this short story is a part of a bigger tale that you would like to sort of bring to
One
fruition?
day I will. One day, yeah. One day.
Are you working on that? Are you like kind of starting to
Because
piece it?
there is
Because
no one
memoir,
day. Writing is
right?
hard work. You got to get
Mm,
to work if you're going to do it. You
mhm.
know that.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, and especially because with memoir, um, it comes in a very non-linear way. Most people, sometimes authors try to write very linearly, especially if they're writing a story, right? But memoir doesn't tend to show up in a linear way. Memoir tends to show up sort of in memories that are sparked in certain moments, and that section needs to be put down, and then slowly you get enough material where you begin to sort of form a sequence of it. So, I mean, do you have like a lot of like notebooks or things that you've done to kind of start bringing that story out, or what is
Uh,
kind of your writing process?
well, it's journaling, so yeah, I'd probably have a bit of material there that I could work on and use as a base. But yeah, I guess that would be maybe my next project. Who knows? It's exciting. Yeah, so it was a very interesting road to go down. I didn't realize how involved it was to write a book or get involved with this. It's been a good learning curve. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially because I'm sure, I mean, out of all the different parts, how did you decide what portion of your story you wanted to turn into this particular short story for this anthology?
Look, I felt, I don't know, was it just an internal thing I needed to, when I sat down trying to think what I could write, I could have written about many things, but I just needed to share this. I just felt that this was important to share out there because there are many people out there that go through lots of uh, domestic abuse situations who will, like I've done many times in relationships, deny it's actually happening. It's
Mm,
okay. It's going to get better. He didn't mean it, you know. And then with the length of time that you're in these sort of relationships, you start losing yourself and your self esteem and who you are and what's real, what's not real, and disconnect from people, and you stay kind of isolated because you don't want to share. There's a little bit of shame, there's guilt, there's, you don't want people to know you're a failure. There's all those emotions that come up as well. It's not just, you know, yeah, it's really, I find it's really complex. So, um, yeah, I guess that's what I wanted to get at. Not that I don't think I really dug in that deep about it, but I just wanted to briefly share. I didn't want to get too much of the story. I didn't want to give too much of the limelight to those people, but
right.
more about my journey on how I was feeling, and trust, and in that trusting of yourself that like I said, there was no way I thought I was ever going to leave
Hmm.
the last partner, and um, to have that clarity, that moment of crystal clarity where you go, hey, look, I'm worth more than this. This is ridiculous. I can't do this
Hmm.
anymore. Yeah. And then to find your feet again. Yeah, and do that
Yeah.
powerfully. So, yeah,
Yeah.
I
What
want
do you
that
what
out
do
there.
you what do you feel is the most what would you say is like the first step for, if someone is struggling in a situation like that, what would you say is the first step that they need to do to be able to break free?
Talk to people, make sure they get the support, make sure they talk to the doctor, even if they can't get counseling or whatever, but talk to people, don't hide it. I think, like there were many times where people would say, oh, I didn't think that you two were, you look like a perfect couple, everything was okay, because nobody wants to air their dirty laundry. So you keep it inside and you think that it's going to get better. You think you can cope with it. It's to talk about it and reach out to people for support. Yeah, that's the first thing, I think. Your family and friends might see it and they might try and support you. You're in denial. You're like, no, no, there's nothing wrong with him. It's okay. I'll be fine. I can deal with it. But it's really reaching out and talking to people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I think that's one of the hard parts, especially with when you're talking about your own family, right? Because in a way we're taught as women that we need to stand by our guy,
yeah,
right? And then like if your family's attacking him, you sort of take this very defensive position, and it sometimes what they're saying just isn't sinking in,
yeah.
and what was the um what was the hardest part of writing this piece for you?
Feeling very vulnerable. The vulnerability of it, knowing that other people are going to see my story. And people that that never know have never known this about me. So, and or the or the ex partners seeing it and recognizing themselves in it. Yeah, I guess there's that too. And yeah, I guess it was. I've had a lot of concern doing that. I was like, oh my god, this is my life I'm sharing here. So that vulnerable share was a concern, but at the same time, I was driven to do it because I want to show to people that this can happen to anyone. That the scamming that happened to me, I'm hoping that will help people as well, because at that time when this person came into my life and how he came into my life, I was at my lowest. I was very vulnerable. I was going through this divorce. My mother was dying at that time, and it was somebody reaching out to me, and I was leaning on to them, even though it was the wrong person. And what I've learned is your mind doesn't know what's real or what's not real. You can have, you still feel emotion, whether you're connected with a person physically or virtually or however it is. You build a relationship and a rapport with someone, and they're very good at, or they're masterful at the art of manipulation. So it's their job. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just want to help that people can recognize that what's a scam and what's not a scam. If they're not in front of you, it isn't real. If they can't prove who they are, just hang up, block the
Yeah.
numbers, do whatever you have to do. Yeah, and in a relationship, I guess the best relationship you can have the first relationship, biggest love you should have is for yourself. And that was my biggest lesson out. And
Yeah.
doing all the work around, and having to have lost my little piece of my little world and empire, my home, my finances, everything. I lost everything. To show that it doesn't matter about age. I turned 63 next month. I want to show that to people that you don't have to stop just because of age. You can rebuild. You can have what you want if you're determined enough to get it. So yeah, and that's what I'm hoping that people will get from that, a little bit of courage.
There is
And
no way you are 63. Like, there's no way.
thank you.
I would not have. I mean, I hope I look that good when I'm 63. I mean, can you rub that off on me? Because I wouldn't have pegged that at all. Like, oh my gosh, you look amazing. And I'm
Thank
so
you.
sorry that those things happened to you. I mean, I just,
It is that. It's what happened to me.
yeah,
And when you can differentiate that, it's just what happened.
yeah.
It's
Mhm.
not about me, because I went through the guilt, the shame. I felt, I didn't want to
Mhm.
see people. I just tried to deal with it all by myself. But in the end, when I started talking about it, to find out how many people, not just romance scams, lots of scams, how many times that happens to people, how many people are in abusive relationships and not even recognizing it is one, because it's just how it happens slowly. It doesn't happen all
Mhm.
at the beginning, or you wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So it's yeah, it's a journey, and I'm hoping that people get something from it. That's the reason I wanted to share that.
I have to tell you, my favorite scammer that tried to scam me was one that used Ben Affleck's picture in his profile.
No.
Yes, it was in some movie that Ben Affleck had like a totally different look with like really heavy hair or whatever. I don't know. And so, but I was like, oh, look, this dude's cute. He looks like Ben Affleck. And then I realized, oh, wait, that is Ben Affleck. And then he wanted me to send him gift cards. And I was like, no.
Oh my gosh. Oh, okay. When I lived in Houston, I had one, and he was Eric Church, and he tried to Facebook call me. And Josh was next to me, so Josh answered it. But it was Eric Church's picture. Now, I'm a huge fan of Eric Church, okay? So I was like, oh, yes. Anytime. If you're going to come on your
How do
tour
you know who
pick me
Eric
up, I'm
Church
out.
is?
Oh, Russell, he's a country singer, okay? He's very, he's like a Texas singer. But anyways, because I told Josh, I said, hey, Eric Church added me on Facebook. If his tour bus comes up to pick me, I'm sorry, I'm out. I'm out, you know? That's just how this is rolling. And he was like, all right, well, laters. I'm like, cool, all right, we're on the same page. You know, I like this. And then he video called me, and so Josh took the phone. It became a whole thing, but it's very relatable because I feel like it has happened to multiple people you know, and have been in similar situations and stuff. And that's what I love so much about this anthology and talking to all of you is it's all someone has gone through that and you're not alone, and now they also feel like they're not alone, and they in a sense feel heard and feel validated through your guys' stories because it makes them no longer feel alone. And I think that is why this anthology is so important, because it really is helping people not isolate themselves and understand, hey, this happens and it can happen to anybody, and here's my story to help bring them some comfort, you know, because I'm sure for you it was therapeutic to kind of write, you know, maybe not to relive it when you're writing it, that's not fun, but to kind of just get it out, you know.
But in a way it was even writing it, like what the work that I've been doing, like the self-love, self-work, the self-reflections, whatever it is the triggers aren't there, you know, so you can write it now with being like the outside looking at an old movie that happened and went, oh my God, how the hell did that happen, girl? You know, where were you? Who were you then? So it's sort of very different now.
Yeah, that's always the biggest difficulty with people that are working with memoir and traumatic experiences is, you know, going about it carefully and very aware, you know, because it can re-trigger, it can re-traumatize if you're not careful, but it can also be very therapeutic, it can be very freeing to release that experience and to know, you know, this happened to me and it wasn't about me, it was about that person. That person, you know, is just shitty, and you know, they
That is
just don't
the
know.
perfect word for that person. Yes. I mean,
They're
there's
shitty
no other
people.
way. Yes. Good word.
Yeah.
Good word.
That's the way it is.
Absolutely.
But Evie, we are so excited about your anthology. We're looking forward to reading yours and all the other ladies' tales in it. Thank you for coming and sharing a little bit about your piece in there.
Yeah. Thanks for getting up early on a Saturday over in Melbourne, Australia, because it's like, what, 8 a.m. there? Is it 8 a.m.?
Have you had a lot of rain still, or is it dry now?
Oh my gosh, the rain, it hasn't stopped. Yeah, so today it's not so rainy, but it's very black outside.
We're
so
even hearing about your rain here.
Yeah, it's pretty full on. So it's strange for this time of year for us, but yeah, what do you do? It's isn't it something special about the weather or something? I can't even say it. There's something with
Oh man. Well, thank you so much for having the courage to write your story and to share your story in this anthology, and for letting us kind of talk to you about it and hear it from you as the author and the person that, you know, lived this experience and has come out of it to kind of just share and be vulnerable with us. I know that it definitely is a book that is going to help people not feel isolated, not feel alone. And things happen to all of us, and it's how we pull ourselves out and how we can use that to inspire and help others going through similar situations, right? So
absolutely.
Evie, thank you so much for having the courage to share your story and to put it out there to the world. And you are an international bestseller with it, and you are still #1 with it. So your story is getting out there, and it is helping and resonating with a lot of people. And I know all of us look forward to what else Evie has. So you're going to have to keep us updated and come back on to tell us about what else you have going on. But thank you so much for taking time out of your morning to come and talk to us. So you guys, this has been an Author Talk Short. Make sure you join us Mondays at 10 a.m. Central for Author Talk. We're going to have a lot more Author Talk Shorts coming because the 12 Days of Page Turners is fastly approaching. So you're going to hear from all those authors as well. But until then, we'll catch you all Monday morning, everybody. Bye.